If you've ever wondered why marriage seems to happen for everyone else but you, if you've ever felt left behind while others move forward, if you've ever cried in secret while pretending to be strong in front of people, this message is for you. And before we even begin, pause for a moment, take a breath, and subscribe to this channel. Because what you're about to hear might finally give your heart the peace it's been begging for, the peace that comes when you stop asking why is it taking so long and start understanding that Allah delays for a reason, that His delay is not rejection, that His silence is not abandonment, that His timing is never a punishment but always a preparation, because in every delay is a hidden mercy, a protection, a wisdom you cannot yet see, but your heart feels the ache, doesn't it? You see others sharing wedding pictures, engagement stories, anniversary posts, and you sit there silently asking, Ya Allah, when will it be my turn? And in that moment, Shaytan whispers to your loneliness, making you feel forgotten, making you believe you're not worthy, making you question your own value. But what Shaitan doesn't want you to realize is that your delay is not because Allah has forgotten you. Your delay is because Allah sees what you cannot. He sees the chapters ahead that you cannot read. He knows the tests you are not ready for. He knows the doors you are not meant to enter yet. He knows the doors you are not meant to enter yet, because marriage is not just about finding someone to hold your hand. It's about finding someone who can help you hold Jannah. Someone whose presence doesn't just fill your life with companionship, but fills your grave with reward. Someone whose heart pulls you closer to Allah and not further away. And sometimes the person you want right now is not the person who will protect your akhirah. And so Allah holds you back, not to harm you, but to save you, not to deprive you, but to preserve you. You come to peace because you healed ahira. And so Allah holds you back, not to harm you, but to preserve you, because you don't just need a marriage, you need a marriage that leads you to Him. And sometimes the delay is not about the person, it's about you, about the version of you that Allah is still building, the maturity you are still developing, the spiritual strength you are still growing. Because if Allah gave you what you are asking for before you were ready, it may have broken you instead of built you. And Allah loves you too much to give you something that will harm you. Instead, it will harm even if it's something you deeply desire. And so He delays, He holds you back, not because He enjoys your pain, but because He is protecting you from a pain that would have been far worse. A pain that you cannot see yet, but He already knows. And while you sit there crying over unanswered duras, Allah is already writing your story in a way that will one day make you fall into sujud, in gratitude for the very delays you once hated, because you'll realize that His timing was perfect all along. And while you were begging for quick relief, He was writing permanent stability. While you were praying for companionship, He was preparing compatibility. While you were desperate for love, He was preparing you for peace. And peace is not found in just any marriage. Peace is found in the marriage that was written specifically for your soul. And the longer the delay, the more perfect the preparation. Because Allah doesn't rush your destiny, He perfects it. And while others may celebrate early, it doesn't mean they're happier. It doesn't mean their story was better. Because what matters is not how fast you arrive at marriage, but how peaceful your home becomes after you enter it. And sometimes, the fastest marriages crumble the quickest, while the delayed ones are the ones built on solid ground, built on hearts that were purified through patience, built on souls that learned to love Allah first before they loved each other. Because the best marriages are not two people completing each other, but two people who are already complete with Allah, simply walking to Jannah together. And that kind of marriage takes time, it takes preparation, it takes tests, And that's why Allah delays, not to punish you, but to protect you, not to hurt you, but to heal you. And as the days turn into months and the months turn into years, you begin to feel the weight of waiting. You start to feel like you've been forgotten, while others walk into marriages with smiles, while you sit in silence, battling thoughts you never say out loud, but what your heart needs to hear, what your soul needs to absorb, is that Allah's delay is not denial, it's design, it's divine orchestration, a higher wisdom unfolding piece by piece in ways you will one day understand but cannot yet see. Because when Allah holds you back, it's never random, it's never accidental, it's always intentional, always protective, always infused with mercy you cannot comprehend in the moment of waiting. Because sometimes the one you are waiting for isn't ready yet, and sometimes you are not ready yet, and sometimes the timing isn't aligned with the doors Allah will open for both of you when it's finally the right time, because Allah knows the unseen storms that lie ahead, the tests you are not prepared for, the weaknesses that still need to be strengthened, the insecurities that still need to be healed, the iman that still needs to be elevated. And if you entered marriage too early, you may have crumbled under the weight of challenges your heart was not yet equipped to handle. But when Allah delays, He is stretching you, growing you, polishing you, preparing you, not just for marriage, but for success within marriage, for peace after marriage, for stability that lasts beyond the honeymoon phase. Because anyone can get married quickly, but few can sustain a marriage with tranquility, with barakah, with spiritual partnership. And that level of peace requires preparation. That level of peace requires hearts that have already learned how to rely on Allah first. Because two people who rely on Allah can survive storms together. But two people who rely on each other alone may break each other. And that's why the delay is a mercy. Because Allah is giving you the gift of time to grow into the person who will not only find love, but sustain it, protect it, and turn it into a source of reward for both dunya and akhirah. And while your heart may ache watching others move forward, remember that everyone's journey is different. That some will marry quickly and struggle silently, while others will marry late but thrive peacefully. Because it's not the speed that matters, it's the foundation. And Allah is building your foundation brick by brick through every tear, through every rejected proposal, through every delayed meeting, through every broken engagement, through every closed door. Because those closed doors are not failures, they are protections. They are signs that Allah is involved in your story, that He is actively managing your path, that He is keeping you away from what you may have desperately wanted, but would have ultimately harmed you. And you will only understand this fully when you finally meet the person who was written for you. When you finally experience a marriage that is built on divine timing, on mutual trust, on hearts that met after being purified through patience. And you'll fall into sujood, not just for the person you married, but for the wisdom in every delay, for the mercy in every not yet, for the protection in every no. And you'll realize that while you were busy praying for marriage, Allah was preparing you for peace, for barakah, for love that doesn't just fill your dunya, but elevates your akhirah. And that type of love can only arrive when both hearts are ready, when both souls are aligned, when both are spiritually prepared to carry not just each other, but the weight of tests that marriage inevitably brings. Because marriage is not always beautiful. Marriage requires sacrifice, patience, forgiveness, education, and practice. The weight of the world and the fate of society. And you married people are not always beautiful. Marriage requires sacrifice, understanding, compromise, and without proper spiritual grounding, even the most beautiful beginnings can turn bitter. But when Allah delays, He is saving you from walking into marriage with an unprepared heart. He is protecting your peace before you even know what would have stolen it. He is writing your story with more care than you are writing your du'as. And when you trust Him, when you surrender to His wisdom, you will find that the weight was never empty. It was always full. Full of preparation, full of mercy, full of silent gifts, being placed into your future while you patiently held on. And when that moment finally arrives, when Allah finally brings into your life the person He was preparing for you all along, you'll realize why it took so long, why so many doors were closed, why so many tears had to fall, why so many sleepless nights were written into your story. Because standing before you will not be just any person. It will be the person your soul was always meant to meet. The person whose arrival could only happen once you both were ready, once you both had been purified through waiting, through growth, through individual journeys that led you closer to Allah before leading you to each other. And suddenly you'll see that every not yet was a divine wait. I have something better. Every rejection was a redirection. Every delay was a form of protection. Every unanswered dua was being answered in ways you couldn't yet comprehend. Because when Allah writes your story, He writes it perfectly, not according to your impatience, but according to His mercy. And His mercy never fails, never forgets, never delays without wisdom. And now that you stand beside your spouse, your partner, your companion for this life and the next, you'll realize that the marriage you waited for was worth every lonely night, every aching moment, every tearful sujood, because you'll see how Allah was working behind the scenes all along, preparing not only your spouse for you, but you for your spouse, removing from your heart the attachments that would have poisoned your relationship, healing you from insecurities that would have sabotaged your peace, teaching you patience that now becomes the foundation of your home. And every time you look into the eyes of your spouse, you'll see not just love, but the manifestation of divine timing, of a plan that unfolded exactly when it was meant to. Because what is written for you will reach you without you having to beg for it, without you having to compromise your dignity for it, without you having to force what was never meant to fit. And this is the peace that comes with trusting Allah's plan, with surrendering your timeline to His perfect wisdom, because your delay was never about punishment, it was always about preparation. And now that you stand in your marriage, you'll see how every moment of waiting matured your love, protected your peace, and aligned your hearts in ways that only Allah could have orchestrated. And your marriage will not be perfect, because no marriage is, but it will be peaceful, because it is built on the foundation of patience, trust, and tawakkul that was planted long before you met. And even when the inevitable tests of marriage arise, you'll both carry with you the lessons learned in waiting, the patience that was developed in delay, the trust that was built in surrender. And you'll find yourselves turning to Allah together in every hardship, holding each other up with hands that first learned to hold on to Him individually. And that is the secret to a marriage that lasts. Not perfection, but preparation. Not instant happiness, but earned stability. Not avoiding hardship, but knowing how to return to Allah together when hardship arrives. And as you live each day with your spouse, building a home together, raising a family together, walking towards Jannah together, you look back and smile through tears of gratitude, whispering, Ya Allah, thank you for every delay, for every no, for every door you closed, for every moment you made me wait, because this peace, this love, this partnership was worth every second of the wait. And in that moment you'll understand that Allah was never denying you. He was always writing for you, that He was never ignoring your du'as. He was answering them in the most beautiful way possible, at the most perfect time possible, with the person most suited for your soul. And you'll realize that what you once saw as loneliness was actually protection. What you once saw as rejection was actually preparation. What you once saw as delay was actually the unfolding of mercy. And your heart will finally rest knowing that when you trust Allah's timing, you never miss what was written for you, because your marriage was never delayed. It was always perfectly timed.